Good morning, guys. Welcome back to the channel. A little chilly this morning. It's Thursday, day after Thanksgiving, Christmas. Hope y'all had a good Christmas. We made just a little bit more progress on the engine, and we'll go over that today. Also, I'm going to port match my intake for the bigger carburetor, and so yeah, let's get started. Okay, as you can see, we've got both cylinders and heads on the engine. If you guys can remember, this stud right here pulled out when I was doing the squish band check on the back cylinder, and lo and behold, this stud pulled out when I was doing squish band check on the front. So basically what I done was I bought, you can see here, a helicoil kit. Okay, now the trick when doing this, let's just look at this case right here real quick. You see there's a stud missing there because I actually had to steal a stud out of that. Now I made this thing, this little block of aluminum right here, okay, and you can see there's a drill and a tap specific for that thread insert. So I drilled this hole with that drill bit, and I tapped this, I'll drill both holes with that drill bit. I tapped this hole with that tap, and I'm able to hold this block against the case to keep everything square so that the stud comes up straight. Now, that's 1x1 solid block of aluminum. I don't know if you guys have a means to get a hold of something like that, but I was a little more stressed out about it than I needed to be. It wasn't really that bad. So apologize for the shaking. It is pretty chilly out here. I do have my little ceramic heater running, but it isn't quite as warm as I'd like it to be. So there's the stud repair. Sit tight, y'all. We're going to get into port matching this intake manifold. Okay, so here's the intake manifold, and remember I colored it with a Sharpie and then I scribed it, so I've got a scribed line here. And basically, I'm not going crazy. Get out of here. I'm not going crazy with this thing. I'm just going to taper it out and then blend it a little bit. Get. Okay. Put one of these guys in here, a little drum sander. Blend that in a little bit. That's a little bit harder on the eyeballs. There we go. Okay, so I don't know if you guys can see this or not, but instead of having a big shelf right there where the air smacks it, I put an angle on it and blended it. I don't want to pretend to know what I'm doing when it comes to porting anything, but this is just pure common sense here. Not much of a secret to it. I'm almost tempted to blend a little bit more of the other side of it here. It's kind of got some edges, but again, I don't know. Probably wouldn't take much to blend that in a little bit. I guess the worst that could happen is I slow it down a little bit, right? It's just a bracket bike anyway, so let's give her a try. Let's blend that in a little bit. Okay, so the upper portion of it right there where it travels, air's traveling this direction into the head. I don't think there's a lot I can do down here at the bottom. I mean, I can try, but this casting may be a little thin right there, so I don't think I'm gonna mess with that. I don't really need to get into trying to epoxy this thing or anything like that. I'm just trying to knock down some high spots, maybe smooth it out a little bit. Yeah, so we'll do that on this other one here real quick. So let's see if you guys can see. There was a little bit of casting marks right here that were sticking up. I just kind of knocked those down a little bit. Again, the transition on the top side of the port was pretty easy to get to. It wasn't real aggressive, but on the bottom, it's kind of hard to see. Right here, the shelf. Again, this is really thin right here, so I'm not going to get into that because I just don't want to have to epoxy it back together, or even worse yet, buy another intake manifold. So I blended to mate the carburetor, blended that, you know, kind of cut it at an angle here, just blended it in a little bit. Not too big of a deal. I do have to clearance rocker boxes, but I ordered it. Well, I didn't order. I guess I purchased a used set of XB rocker boxes and breather covers so that I can vent the engine a little bit differently. We'll go back inside and I'll explain that. Okay, basically this is what you're looking at. And you're looking at the engine breather system here and here. So let's see, typically you can do multiple different things. You know, you got these little vent screws that might screw in there. Some of y'all may have a bracket that you utilize to hold your carburetor if you're using like a stock CV carburetor or an OEM style intake manifold. You'll need to have this when you remove the stock air breather plate system from your bike. You'll have to have this unless you go to like an S&S style intake manifold. So basically what I'm doing is I have a boot that goes on my intake manifold, okay? And that's what my carburetor will clamp to. So I don't need any of this other stuff. I've been running these vent bolts on this bike and they have not been a problem. I haven't really suffered any serious blow-by issues or anything like that. The engine was pretty tight, but for this particular rebuild on this bike, you guys can see in the top of the head right here, you see how red my fingers are? That's how cold it is out here. See this top on either side right here is basically what connects this to this. Okay, so the XBs have a, and I wish I had them here to show you, but they just haven't came in the mail yet. They got these little PCV valves that come up out of them, and I think the Buell has a straight up, the XB has a straight up intake, so it kind of just goes up into an air box. But I'm gonna, you know, turn them in a direction and head the hoses up through here somewhere into a little breather tank, a puke tank or something, if you will. But that's what I'm gonna do with that. So I guess I'm gonna get to work on putting this intake manifold on here. Okay, hopefully this will give you some kind of a shot of what I'm doing here. Basically I start these two back bolts where the notches are in the intake manifold brackets. And I blew this out real good with some compressed air, so and as usual, let's try and take one of them out. Maybe that'll help. This one's in there a ways. It sounds good in theory that they just slip right in there, but they don't. Anybody that's ever put an intake manifold on a Sportster knows how fun these things can be. They are not fun at all. we go. That one started. See how close we can get to starting these. This is always a pain in the neck. Always. Lord have mercy, I got 3 out of 4 of them in there already. How's that even possible? And of course, number 4 is always the one that doesn't want to go in. Always. Usually the intake has to be manipulated one way or the other a little bit to get it started. It's usually a good time. Can't get your hand in there and the bolt at the same time, so basically what I'm doing with this screwdriver is just prying down on the intake just a little bit. I don't believe it's in there yet. Nope, I don't believe it is. All right. All right. I'll pop these up a little looser. Get some wiggle room. It's funny that this was just on this engine. Same cylinder heads, same cylinders. Half of it is just that my fingers are just so damn cold. I really need a ball-ended Allen wrench for this. It would really help. Fortunately, that one's missing out of my set. Yeah. That one is missing out of my set. All right, well, there's no sense in dragging this part of the video out while I'm trying to get this bolt in here, so sit tight. Okay, got the intake manifold on there. It was a little bit of a doozy getting that bolt in there again. I tend to swear a lot when I'm trying to get something done like that. It's usually a big pain in the neck, but we're gonna go ahead and put the boot on. It's usually not any fun either, but what the hell, we'll struggle with it together. I gotta get you a couple nuts here. Get the right tools here. Yeah. And I'm basically just going to glue that on there with a little bit of 1184 just to help seal it. It works pretty good. Kind of like Yamaha Bond or Honda Bond or any of that other Japanese case sealer. Or, you know, you can't, well, according to the local dealership, you can't buy this, the Harley brand. They don't sell it to the public. They sell it to Dan at Hammer Performance, but they don't sell it to the public. Actually, I'm wrong. Dan uses this stuff. That's where I got that from. So it works pretty good on certain things. Like I use it to seal my cases. You guys have probably caught in some of my other videos. Enough of that. Let's figure out what we need here. 1/4 inch. I need probably a nice long extension. A ratchet. Oh, there we go. I need one that damn long. Probably not. I think all my extensions are in the trailer. So yeah, that'd be loads of fun getting that in there. There we go. Okay. Again, I'm going to put a little dab of this crap on the back of the boot. Just a little bit, real thin film. And because it's colder and snot out here, everything is stringy. Which this stuff's pretty stringy even when it's hot out, so. Some nice little thin film of it here. Seals that up good. Again, it doesn't take much, just a little bit. Okay, a little bit, get the strings off of it. Just junk off my finger. And I'll let that shit dry on your finger. You gotta play hell getting it off of there. Alright, put that guy right there. This is a bit of a freaking challenge too, getting these bolts in this thing, because their pattern's just a little off on this boot. Here we go. All right. Damn. Fingers are so cold. 5/16 18 there. On here as well. Okay. Get that thing seated up on there. There it is. I think if I can get that. Don't know. Just don't know. Can't really reach both sides of this thing at the same time. So let's see if we can find 1/2 inch. I'll see if I can reach through here. Get in the head of that bolt. I don't really have enough room to do much here, so this is always an exercise in patience as well. There's that. Now they make all kinds of different adapters. You can actually get a what's called a Pro back that mounts to the back of your Mikuni carburetor, so you can bolt it straight to the intake. Not really my cup of tea, but it's doable. Okay, nice and sealed up. We'll just let that cure. There's no way I'm putting that carburetor on right now because it'll just get in the way of everything else I have to do to this yet, which is clearance the rockers rocker boxes for these big ass valve springs. So the next thing I can do is get my ignition module back in and static time it. I know there's a bunch of videos out there on that as well, but we'll see. And of course I'd have to put the battery back in it to do it. But at the very least I can get it started on it. And take that plug out of there, that sight plug. Okay. All right. Stick around, y'all. I'm going to warm my hands up, and maybe we'll go through static timing this ignition today. All right, so we'll work on this a little bit here. When I took the engine out, I didn't wire the dyna in with a plug, so to speak. I actually had to cut the damn wires off. So I'm gonna have to pull this out a little bit, trim some of this off. If I can find a pair of scissors here. There we go. There we go. Okay. I think I'm gonna, problem is, no matter what you do to the end of this thing, it has to be it's going to stay with the damn stay with the cam cover, because you can't pull a plug back through that hole. So okay, there's that. I have to solder all that back together. All right, so I have the Hammer Performance billet timing cup. I'm going to put a little bit of blue. I don't want this screw, breaking off when I try to take it out, but a little bit of blue will help hold it in there. I got a bit much on there. There we go. And I wish it wasn't so cold. So. There's that. Give her just a little snug. There it is. Don't go too crazy with that thing. Break it off. It ruins my $500 cam set. Just back through here. Goes right down through the bottom there. Okay, go back in there. Now, these standoffs are also discontinued. You can't buy these things anymore either from Harley. So I'm kind of on the lookout for some more of those. What I'm going to end up having to do is use some regular I don't know what they are, 1032 bolts, I suppose, like cap socket head 1032 bolts. So And again, forgive me, my hands are not working in this cold for shit, so let's try and get these started in here. There we go. Touch off, back off a little bit. Make sure it'll still rotate. There you go. Get this bottom one in there. Touch off, back off a little bit. Make sure she'll turn. There we go. Okay, so that's going to go up above that. Run them wires up through there. There we go. Put that up above. Yeah, I guess I don't have to. I could probably run it underneath. Strap it to the frame. I think I got plenty of wire there. Tie it down right there. There we go. Get a few zippy strips. All right. Put a nice little slack in that right there. Right there. Last thing you want is for this to get into your exhaust, believe me. I don't like buying these any more than I have to. Those are not cheap. There's that. That's a good start right there. We'll just let that hang. Okay, it's clean, out of the way. There's that. There's that. You actually also can turn these zip ties so that the thing you cut off ain't sticking out where it can skin your knuckles every time you reach in there to do something. So there we go. Nice and tucked in along the frame there. I don't really want to put another one on there because then I'll tie it into the damn hose clamps. All right. Hope that's pretty straightforward so far. Again, I have to solder the wires back together. Honestly, if it's going to stay an 01 bottom end, I could probably just make a plug to terminate this thing, which is what I may very well do. And I probably won't do that on camera. Okay, so things we've gotten done. We blended the intake, got it mounted, got the boot mounted. It's not even 10 a.m. right now. It's still pretty cold outside. Gonna be a high of 49 today. I think I'm gonna go back in the house and wait for it to hit the high this afternoon. I'll come back out and start connecting the wires. I may install a plug so I can just unplug it, take it off of the bike. Just have to stay with the cover. As long as I'm running these 2000 to 03 cases, then that shouldn't be a problem. I can just leave the module with the cover, just unplug the wiring from the bike and take it off, which is, I think, what I should probably do on this deal. So that takes some time, and quite frankly, my fingers are too cold to work with those tiny little crimpers and pins, and because I'm using, I wouldn't say they're Deutsch style, but they're similar to that. You guys have seen me use them on some stuff on this bike, but I think I want to make that plug and play, so I need it to be a little warmer so I can work with those tools and those little electrical components. And we'll get into static timing. Okay, so be on the lookout for that video. I want to say thanks for watching. As always, if you have any questions or comments or better ideas on any of this stuff, feel free to drop a comment. Love to hear from you. Hope y'all had a great Christmas. Thanks for watching. Appreciate your support.